There's no need for a typical YouTube clickbaity title or thumbnail with this one, because the shock factor is there just in its natural form. Alcohol triggers more actual damage to the brain than blood pressure being high and smoking combined. Why is this still socially normal? I understand people like it, but I want to focus a lot on the longevity piece too. I want to focus mainly on where longevity science got it wrong with alcohol. Because when I was a kid, growing up in the vineyards of Sonoma, California, man, like everyone just loved their wine, like obviously. And they would like live in bias land. Like, I'm gonna live forever because I'm drinking my wine. It's got the alcohol, which is good for me. The studies show it. And it's got the resveratrol. The studies show it. And I just remember thinking like, this doesn't make sense. Like seeing people drive like maniacs because they're drunk, and like just growing up in that, it was like, what the heck? I couldn't wrap my mind around it. I was just like, anyhow. But when you look at the literature now, I'll just come right out and say it. The new literature suggests that's not the case at all. But let's talk about the old literature and see where the confusion happened. Because a lot of that older literature shows what is called a U-shaped curve, which does show that in a small amount, alcohol could be fine. In fact, could be beneficial and actually make you live longer. And then when you start getting into the moderate and heavy amounts, it's a problem. Couple problems. First, socially, what most people consider to be light drinking is really more like moderate drinking to heavy drinking. But also, let's be real here. There is a lot of what is called reverse causality. So when you analyze these studies, you see, oh, okay, well, there can be a lot of people that developed health problems from drinking, so they quit drinking. So then in the case of a study, they're classified as a non-drinker, even though they've already acquired health problems from said earlier drinking. Yet they're skewing the data, making it look like people that don't drink still die just as young, even though they're paying the price of drinking earlier. They should still be counted as a drinker, and it should be counted like through their entirety of their life, not just the fact that maybe they were a chronic drinker earlier and then weren't, right? See where I'm going with this? The other side is something called bias. And when you're looking at literature where this can be a confounding issue, is people that would occasionally drink, like once a year for a bar mitzvah or their daughter's wedding or something like that, they would get grouped into moderate drinkers or light drinkers, which would be a very broad category of people drinking like 1 to 2 drinks per night. Realistically, if everyone tallied how many drinks they had in a year or in their life, that would be the most accurate way of looking at this. Okay, if you had 1,000 drinks your entire life, 500 drinks your entire life, 10,000 drinks your entire life, that would be the fairest way to really assess if that U-shaped curve is legit or not. Because to say that someone is a moderate drinker, that's in the same category as someone drinking 1 to 2 drinks per night because they had a drink at a wedding, come on, you and I both know that's not real. And I'm sure we want to lean into that research and be like, that's the one that I like, so let's go for it. Let's look at the new stuff. 2023, Journal of the American Medical Association, 107 studies, 4.8 million people, 25 grams of ethanol per day, which is about 1 to 2 drinks, had zero, zilch, goose egg positive effect on lifespan. If anything, it seemed slightly negative. Zero positive impact. It did not make people live longer. And this is a huge flippant study, okay? Next up, those that consume 25 grams of ethanol or more, depending on men or women, this led to a very clear increase in all-cause mortality risk. So drinking 1 to 2 drinks per night plus is likely to make you live a less lengthy life. Now I want to get into the interesting stuff where we got the actual imaging. We actually see the imaging looking at MRIs of how the brain is impacted out of 2022, not that long ago. Now, let's be real here and let's look at some pragmatic stuff. I don't think that any amount of alcohol is good based on the literature I've seen. If you can get by without drinking at all, that's better. Find a substitution. I'll tell you the things that I do instead. Okay, I drink kava. Okay, not a plug for them. Okay, I drink kava. There's a company called True Kava that has really good stuff. Kava is like shown to actually have health benefits and increase GABA levels that can actually decrease stress without the impacts of alcohol. I think that's tremendous. I drink something called hop water, HOPWTR. It is water that is made from hops. It kind of tastes like beer, not quite, but a little bit. And it has like 5-HTP, and it has some nootropics in there to give you a little bit of a fun buzz that's not damaging to the body. Okay? I also drink electrolytes because they just taste like a mixer sometimes. I think that's kind of fun. Like, I don't have cravings for alcohol. I did a little bit of drinking when I was in the corporate world, but I was never a heavy drinker. Point is that like if I go to a social event, I'll sip on something. But like a little bit of LMNT in club soda, no one ever knows that I'm not drinking alcohol, and it tastes really good. Like the grapefruit one is amazing. So I put the link down below if you want to try them out. I think it's a great thing to have. Like if you're used to coming home and having a drink, come home and have a glass of water with electrolytes. Like, I know it's not the same, but it gives you a nice little feeling of sipping on something that doesn't have any calories and also has a potential benefit. There's 1,000 milligrams sodium, 200 milligrams potassium, and 60 milligrams of magnesium. So it can potentially have a calming effect with that magnesium as well. That link down below also gets you a free variety pack. So you get a free sample pack with any purchase. So whenever you purchase any LMNT electrolytes, they're going to send with you, when you use that link, a variety pack of all the different flavors that you can give to a friend. You can use it yourself, keep it for later, save it for a rainy day, save it for a party, whatever. So LMNT has changed the game for me, whether it's through dieting to just be able to like eat less, drink some electrolytes instead of going for a meal, or to substitute for drinking, or to replenish myself during a workout. So that link, top line of the description underneath this video. Okay, let's look at the study published in Neuroimage 2022. It looked at 25,000 images of the brain. Okay, and it found that alcohol, any amount of alcohol, affected gray matter volume. But when people were drinking like 1 to 2 drinks per day, it significantly reduced gray matter volume. It literally shrunk the brain. And when it started becoming chronic and higher amounts of alcohol, it actually damaged the white matter structure. So when you're looking at the brain, functional MRI, they could see the brain was dying. I mean, it was screaming for help. Gray matter shrinking, so your ability to reason, executive function, visual acuity, all these things went down. And then the white matter structure is the actual like important sort of neuronal structure within the brain. So with that, it was a huge problem. And then they started noticing under functional MRI that functional connectivity was being lost. So the ability of the regions of the brain to connect to one another. It's like they were unable to communicate like logic and reason with emotion. And this happened at pretty low amounts, and not just while they were under the influence, but longer term. And here's where it gets really scary, just like I mentioned at the beginning of this video. The impact on the gray matter and the white matter was stronger with just moderate alcohol than smoking and high blood pressure combined. So here we are, focusing on all these other things, when the biggest thing is hanging right in front of us. And I say the biggest thing because, quite frankly, it's the thing that so many people do that we could just remove and everything else in our life could stay the same. Like you could probably still keep your diet somewhat crappy. Let me be real. You could probably still be somewhat inactive. You could probably still have a lot of stress. But if you just removed that alcohol, something huge could happen. And maybe it just lifts that veil off of your life just enough that you do start moving more, and you do start eating better, and you do have less stress, and you do sleep better. And hey, what do you know? You're a little bit smarter too, because your gray matter isn't decreasing. At the end of the day, we cannot let the studies that feel good dictate our behavior. It's easy to cherry pick. I have done it before, but as I've grown in my career and with what I do, there is a responsibility to recognize a bias between your life and research. If a study tells you that it's okay to drink wine every day, then you might want to just drink wine every day. But if 5 studies tell you that drinking that wine is going to make you die sooner, I think you should listen to that. I'll see you tomorrow.